You ever feel the weight of a yesterday that just won't let go? Like every step you take today is being pulled back by invisible chains tied to what's already gone. Memories, regrets, words you never said, they all hang around inside you, echoing long after they should have faded. Sometimes the past shows up in a faraway stare. Other times it hits like a knot in your chest. And even when you think you've moved on, it still slips through the cracks of silence, whispering that there's something there, just waiting to be seen and understood. But do we really have to erase the past to be free? Or does real freedom come when we look at it without judgment and just understanding? The Tao teaches that nothing stays trapped in time. Everything that's alive moves. Just like a river carries leaves and memories without clinging to them, we can also learn to let life flow naturally without trying to hold on to what's already run its course. So today, I'm inviting you to walk along that inner river too, welcome what's gone without fighting it, to breathe through the pain without fear, and to let the flow of life itself show you what letting go really means. There's nothing you need to forget, only something to understand. Like the moon lighting up muddy waters, awareness turns heaviness into wisdom and pain into calm. Take your breath. Feel that time isn't your enemy, it's a quiet teacher. What we call the past is just a wave saying goodbye, rolling back into the ocean of life. Lao Tzu once said, "He who knows others is wise, but he who knows himself is enlightened." The past, with all its scars, lessons, and flashes of beauty, is the mirror through which we start to truly know ourselves. It's not an enemy to defeat, but a silent guide showing us where we're still resisting the natural flow of things. When we run from it, we end up swimming against the current, but when we look at it with peace, we realize that every pain, every mistake, every loss was just another way of guiding us home to the present. The Tao reminds us that everything is already perfect in its impermanence. The tree doesn't mourn the leaves it sheds. The river doesn't fight the rocks that narrow its path. The moon doesn't fear the darkness when it fades for a while. Nature accepts its cycle's end. It's that very acceptance that keeps it alive. But we forget that. We try to stop the flow, to hold on to what once made us happy, or erase what once hurt us, as if the past were a mistake that needs fixing. But the past doesn't make mistakes, it just fulfills its purpose of passing through. Suffering shows up when we cling to what's gone or resist what is. Holding on to yesterday is like trying to grab a handful of fog. The tighter you grip, the less you keep. The Tao invites us to loosen that grip, to open the heart and let the memories settle naturally, without forcing anything. It's not about forgetting, it's about allowing what once was to find peace inside you, without demand, without struggle. Picture a still lake for a second. When the water's rough, the moon's reflection breaks apart and everything looks messy and unclear. But when the lake settles, the moon shows up whole again. That's pretty much how the human heart works. As long as we refighting the past, our vision gets cloudy. But when we start to accept it, clarity comes back. Peace doesn't show up when you erase what happened. It shows up when you understand that everything had its time, its reason, its purpose. The past is like an old trail covered in fallen leaves. You can still look back at it, remember the path, maybe even smile. But if you keep trying to walk that same trail, you forget to notice the new ground right under your feet. The Tao's wisdom doesn't tell you to erase your footprints. It tells you to honor them, because without those steps, you wouldn't be where you are now. When you look at your past with a little tenderness, something shifts. Resentment starts to fade, guilt loses its grip, and what once felt heavy becomes light, like morning fog lifting with the sunrise. That happens because awareness doesn't judge, it just shines light. And once that light touches what's been hiding in the dark, pain turns into understanding. The Tao Te Ching says, accept what is, let go of what was. Trust what will be. That line's a bridge between what we call pain and what we call freedom. Through the eyes of the Tao, the past isn't a cage, it's the current that carried you here. It shaped you, taught you, and now it just asks to be released. Life doesn't want you to erase what you've lived. It wants you to see that everything was movement, even what looked like stillness. No pain lasts forever. No joy stays the same. Everything beats in rhythm with the breath of the universe. When you really get that, the heart softens. What used to feel heavy starts to feel like part of the dance. Yin and yang, dark and light, past and present, loss and renewal. What hurts you isn't the past itself. It's the belief that it should have gone differently. The mind spins stories like what if, why didn't I, or I should have. And each one builds walls between you and the present moment. But the Tao doesn't build walls. It opens paths. It invites you to watch those stories drift away like leaves in the wind until all that's left is silence. And in that silence, you realize the past can't hold you because it was never separate from who you are right now. You're both the river and its banks, the yesterday and the now. Nothing needs to be denied, only seen as part of the same flow. Taoist wisdom doesn't try to erase pain, it transforms it into compassion. When we stop fighting time, we find what's eternal inside the moment. Teiki, a breath. Feel that there's something in you that never ages, never fades, something that doesn't belong to yesterday or tomorrow. That something is the Tao, the silent movement still flowing, even when you try to stop. And in that gentle realization that the past is just a passing reflection on the river of life, you finally start to let go. Letting go of the past starts the moment you stop running from it. It's not about erasing memories, it's about giving them room to breathe inside you without trying to control them. The mind always wants to fix things, label things, figure everything out, but the heart just wants to feel, to let what needs to go, go. When you stop fighting what already happened, you finally give time a chance to heal what you've been keeping wounded. The first step is awareness, the simple art of just watching. Watching without digging for answers, without forcing emotions to change right away. It's like sitting by a river and watching the water flow. Sometimes the current's wild, full of memories that pull you under. Other times, the stillness feels endless. But through it all, there's always something that doesn't move the observer. That quiet center that stays calm even when everything else shifts. Awareness is like early morning light cutting through fog. It doesn't push. It just reveals. When you look at your pain with that kind of soft light, it stops being so scary and becomes part of your inner landscape. It's no longer a monster from the past. It turns into a quiet teacher. What once hurt starts to teach you. What once felt heavy starts to melt away. Acceptance is born from that clarity. It doesn't mean you agree with what happened or excuse it. It just means you let life be exactly how it is. Like bamboo in the wind, it bends, but it doesn't break. When you fight what's already gone, you turn rigid. When you accept it, you find that flexibility is real strength. In silence, you start to see that the past isn't a prison. It's just a chapter that's already closed. It doesn't need to be fed anymore. Dragging it into the present with guilt and rumination is like trying to keep a fire burning long after it's done its job. The flame already gave you warmth, light, and transformation. What's left now is the calm glow of wisdom. Acceptance brings you back to life's natural rhythm. Like the tide rising and falling, emotions need room to come and go. When a memory shows up, don't shove it away. Breathe and say quietly, I see you. That small act of recognition melts layers of resistance. What was pain becomes presence. Lao Tzu once said, when I let go of who I am, I become what I might be. It's a reminder that clinging to old versions of yourself is what keeps you from living right now. You're not the same person you were when you messed up, loved, or lost. Every single experience, even the hard ones, brought you here. And right here, in this moment, there's space to be reborn. Notice what stays in you when everything else changes. That silent Corey, the one that just witnesses, that's where time can't touch you. When you root yourself there, the past stops defining you. It just becomes part of the scenery, something the river carries for a moment before it fades away into the flow. Acceptance is the first act of it's when you stop being at war with your own story and start walking beside it peacefully. What used to feel like a burden turns into solid ground. What once felt like darkness becomes shelter, and that's when your heart finally gets it. There's nothing left to forgive, only to understand. Breathe. Feel that lightness that shows up when you finally let the past just rest in silence. It doesn't need to be rewritten or fixed, just recognize as part of your journey. The river keeps flowing, and you're flowing with it, not fighting, just moving along. And it's in that calm, effortless flow that real freedom starts to happen. There comes a point when trying to understand the past isn't enough anymore. Your heart just wants to rest in the now. That's where Wu Wei begins, the art of not forcing. It's not about being lazy or passive. It's about moving in harmony, letting things unfold naturally. When you're truly present, action rises on its own, like the wind brushing through the trees without asking permission. The mind, always trying to stay in control, wants to fix, heal, and make sure it never hurts again. But the Tao reminds us, a river doesn't push its own water to make it flow. It just allows. And that's what we do when we open up to presence, when we let every breath, every feeling, every silence be exactly what it is. Being present means resting in the moment, feeling your body touch the ground, hearing the sounds around you, noticing life happening without needing to figure it out. When your attention drops into the now, the past loses its grip. It melts away in the clarity of awareness. And the funny thing is, that's when the deepest changes start to unfold. Not when you force them, but when you stop trying to wu wei is like bamboo swaying in the wind. It doesn't fight. It doesn't resist. And that's exactly why it stays standing. Its softness is its strength. When you act from that same softness, things start falling into place without all the struggle. Life stops feeling like something to conquer and starts feeling like something to flow with. You begin to realize life's always known where to go. You just had to quiet the inner noise, trying to control it. Living Wu Wei means letting time handle what still needs to ripen. It's trusting the natural rhythm of things. Just like fruit only drops when it's ready, our pain also transforms in its own time. Trying to rush that process is like prying open a flower. You end up breaking it before it blooms. When your body and mind relax, doing and being become one motion. You move, but without strain. Speak, but without rushing. Choose, but without fearing mistakes. That's the wisdom of water. It finds its way to the ocean without ever needing a map, just trusting the pull of existence. Presence doesn't ask you to get rid of the past, only to stop replaying it. Every time your mind drags you back there, you can gently return to your breath. Inhale, exhale, the simplest, oldest rhythm of life. It happens on its own, and within it the Tao reveals itself. Everything that needs to be done is already happening. When action comes from stillness, it's sharper, lighter. You realize you don't have to try to be calm or chase peace. You just have to let what's natural unfold. Not forcing is an act of trust, not in fate, but in that invisible balance that quietly keeps everything moving exactly as it should. The river doesn't fear the rocks, because it knows every obstacle just shapes its path. You can move through life the same way, flowing around whatever comes without hardening yourself. Every time you choose presence over control, something quietly aligns inside you. What once felt like struggle turns into a kind of dance. Real action doesn't come from rushing. It comes from rhythm. When you sync up with the flow of the Tao, effort disappears and things just start happening naturally. Life starts moving through you instead of against you. The right words come out without you overthinking. Decisions feel light. And even silence turns into a form of wisdom. Being present means being whole. It's realizing that nothing needs fixing right now, that everything already is enough as it is. When your heart really gets that, the past fades like fog in the sun, and the present moment shows itself as the only place where life actually happens. So breathe, there's nothing to do, just be. And in that being, you realize you never had to fight to be free. You just had to remember you were already part of the flow. At some point on the journey, we figure out that it's not just about going with the flow, it's about understanding its rhythm. That quiet back and forth between yin and yang, light and dark, stillness and motion. Everything in existence pulses between those two sides, and peace only blooms when both are in balance. When we try to live only on one end, always chasing brightness, strength, or constant doing, we drift away from the harmony that holds everything together. The Tao reminds us that life isn't made of opposites fighting each other, but of complements weaving together. Just like the day needs the night to renew itself, we need our pauses, the silences, the moments of retreat. There's wisdom in the shadow, just like there's softness in strength. Yin and yang don't fight, they dance. And in that dance, tension turns into movement and conflict becomes understanding. When we look back at the past, we usually see only one side, the pain, the loss, what went wrong. But if we stay quiet long enough, we start to see the other side of those same moments, what they taught us, how they made us grow, what they woke up inside us. No memory is completely dark or completely bright. Each one carries a bit of both. And it's in that wider view that the heart finds balance. Being whole means accepting the natural swing between life's poles. Some days are clear, others are foggy. Some moments call for action, others for rest. Fighting that is like trying to stop the ocean from rising and falling. But when we start to move with the tides, we realize that constant change is what keeps us alive. Yin is the silence that nourishes, the pause that heals, the shadow where roots grow. Yang is the spark that creates, the action that manifests, the light that reveals. One without the other gets lost. If we live only in action, we burn out. If we stay only in retreat, we stop blooming. The Tao lives right where yin begins to become yang, and yang begins to turn back into yin, that invisible cycle that keeps the whole universe breathing. On the path of letting go of the past, balance is everything. Yin teaches us to meet our pain with kindness, to let it exist without trying to push it away. Yang reminds us to move forward, to transform, to take the next step. One heals, the other renews. When both work together, life starts flowing again, effortlessly, guilt-free, naturally. Maybe the real secret is to stop picking sides, stop choosing between light and shadow, between doing and being, between remembering and moving on. Everything is part of the same whole. Just like the sky meets the ocean on the horizon, our opposites meet in the stillness of the heart. And it's in that meeting point that peace settles in, not the peace of stillness, but the peace that comes from balance in motion. Lao Tzu once said, "Softness overcomes hardness, and gentleness conquers strength." That's yin and yang. In motion, real strength is flexible. Real light doesn't blind, and real love doesn't demand. When we live by that truth, we stop swinging between guilt and pride, between fear and desire. We start walking lighter, realizing that every part of us, the bright and the dark, is necessary for the whole to exist. Letting go of the past isn't about erasing chapters of your story. It's about weaving them together. It's not about rejecting who you were, but understanding that even what hurt you played its part in bringing you right here. The yin and yang within us are like the two banks of a river. They might look like opposites, but both are essential for the water to flow. So breathe. Let the light and shadow inside you exist without fighting each other. Let rest and movement trade places naturally, like the beat of your heart. In that quiet balance, life finds its center, and you find peace, not outside the flow, but right in the middle of it. The river that once fought against the rocks now just flows. It hasn't forgotten the curves that shaped it or the banks that held it. It's just realized that it was all part of the same journey. We're the same way when we stop resisting the past. We discover that nothing needs to be erased or fixed because everything we've been brought us here to this living, breathing moment. Time, that old invisible teacher, never really takes anything away. It just transforms it. What used to hurt becomes wisdom. What looked like loss becomes space for something new. Every memory, every mistake, every goodbye was a wave carrying us back to our own hearts. Freedom isn't the end of remembering. It's the end of being ruled by what we remember. It's that moment when you realize you're the sky, and the past is just a few passing clouds. Once you really get that, the weight starts to lift. Your inner river finds its natural flow again, and peace stops being some faraway dream. It becomes a state of being. The waters of who you were merge with the waters of who you are, and everything just moves effortlessly, endlessly. That's Wu Wei, the art of not forcing, showing up in every gesture, every breath, every step. There's no rush anymore, no resistance, just the calm rhythm of now. Uchachi PTGC, the balance between yin and yang shows up in every breath. Breathing in is about taking in what is, breathing out is about letting go. With every cycle, life renews itself, reminding us that nothing stays the same. Even in the past, when seen through compassion, becomes alive again, not as a cage, but as a root. And roots, don't they hold you back? They hold you up. They keep you grounded while you grow toward the sky. So letting go of the past isn't about cutting ties with it. It's about recognizing its place in the bigger flow of life. It's saying thank you for what was, for everything that got you here, and then gently letting it go. The river doesn't look back, but it doesn't deny where it came from either. It carries its source quietly in every drop that reaches the ocean. Every breath is life, inviting you to start again. What's behind you already did its job. What's ahead doesn't need to be forced. And what's here, right now, is all there really is. In the present, time melts away, and with it, the weight of old memories. What's left is just being pure awareness that sees, accepts, and flows. Close your eyes for a sec. Feel that still part of you that's never been touched by time, that calm, quiet presence underneath every story. That's the Tao in its most personal form. The movement that never stops. The stillness that never changes. In it, there's no past or future, just the endless return to now. And just like the river meeting the sea, you realize you were never really separate. Every bit of pain, every memory, every need to control was just part of learning how to flow again. The past dissolves into the waters of the present, and the present stretches out until it feels like forever. May you keep moving lightly, like the wind that passes, but never clings, like water that touches everything and keeps going, like silence that holds it all. If this message hits something in you, share it with someone who's still carrying the weight of yesterday. Maybe hearing it will help them remember that everything, absolutely everything flows. Take a deep breath, smile, and let the Tao guide you. Nothing's been lost. It's all just changed shape. And now you are the flow. If this moment brought some calm to your heart, let it keep moving. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that everything transforms. Drop a comment about what your own inner river has taught you. Your story might help someone else let go too. And if you'd like to keep walking with us on this path of stillness and presence, hit that subscribe button. Breathe deep, feel the now, and remember, every step, even the quiet ones, is already part of coming home to the Tao. Everything flows when the heart's at peace.